Why in the F is that security guard all up on Sophie Cunningham? And look, I think there is a reason she got up in Sophie's face, and I don't think there was any need to sort of bow up to Sophie like that.
The Indiana Fever finally had a playoff moment worth celebrating, but somehow the WNBA managed to turn joy into controversy. Sophie Cunningham, wearing a leg brace, simply wanted to share the excitement with her teammates after their big win. Instead, a league security guard decided to intervene, barking at her mid-celebration. Fans immediately questioned the move, sparking debate online. Many began asking the same thing. Does the WNBA deliberately single out Sophie because she doesn't fit their narrative? This came after one of Indiana's biggest playoff victories in years, achieved without Caitlin Clark, who remains sidelined. The atmosphere was electric, the crowd fully engaged, and the Fever players were celebrating on the court. Sophie Cunningham, despite her own injury, was on the bench in street clothes, supporting her teammates. Nothing about her actions appeared controversial. She was clapping, cheering, and adding to the energy, the way any teammate would.
Odyssey Sims hit the floor very hard during the game last night, and her teammates came out to the floor to check on her, except, of course, the girls on the bench, Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby, Sophie Cunningham, they came to half court. Did not cross the line, by the way. But for whatever reason, we had a situation involving Paula Blart, Mall Cop. That's right, played this time in the role by Wheezy from Jefferson, the Jeffersons. Showed up last night to try to check Sophie Cunningham. Did she think Sophie Cunningham was about to run out there and cause an incident? Sophie Cunningham's in a damn leg contraption. It's not even a brace, it's like a contraption.
But that was enough to trigger an unnecessary confrontation. A league security official suddenly approached Sophie as though she had violated some rule or created a disturbance. In reality, she wasn't even near the scorer's table or stepping onto the floor. Positioned closer to mid-court, she was simply celebrating within bounds. Yet, in classic WNBA fashion, the optics became the story, overshadowing the Fever's actual accomplishment.
Odyssey was holding her right shoulder.
Sophie's reaction said it all. First confusion, then disbelief, followed by her trademark glare. And who could blame her? She was visibly injured, wearing a brace, with no chance of rushing the court. Still, instead of calmly addressing the situation, the guard leaned in aggressively, shouting as though she were a threat. The moment went viral, not because Sophie acted out, but because it highlighted an ongoing double standard she has faced for much of her career. The backlash was immediate. Social media lit up, but instead of discussing the Fever's victory or Lexi Hull's standout performance, fans were outraged by how Sophie was treated. Many noted this wasn't an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern. Sophie has long been outspoken, confident, and unwilling to conform, which has often put her at odds with the league's preferred narratives. As a result, she's been painted as a villain, and now, even in a celebratory moment, she found herself singled out.
And I think we all know that if there's one thing that male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens, it's more of me.
She's also one of the few players willing to openly challenge the league's approved narratives. And because of that, she's been targeted not only by certain media outlets, but also by rival fan bases. Sophie Cunningham has long been labeled the villain of the WNBA, but when league staff themselves start treating her that way in the middle of a playoff win, that clearly crosses a line. The Fever had just advanced to the semifinals, and players like Caitlin Clark, Chloe BB, and Sophie Cunningham were all celebrating on the sidelines. None of them stepped onto the court while an injured player was down. They were simply standing near mid-court reacting like every team does during big moments. Yet somehow, only Sophie was confronted. Fans quickly noticed the double standard, asking why Caitlin or Chloe weren't shouted at. Comment sections across Twitter and YouTube were filled with people calling it out. Some bluntly argued Sophie gets targeted because she's white, blonde, and doesn't fit the league's preferred storylines, while others highlighted the hypocrisy, saying that if Angel Reese or Natasha Cloud had done the same thing, they would have been praised as passionate teammates. Instead, Sophie was labeled as entitled and out of control. The irony, of course, is that Sophie didn't even react poorly. She stood her ground, stayed calm, and refused to be intimidated. The guard wasn't maintaining order, she was creating a scene. And when fans saw that, they exploded with frustration. This goes deeper than one confrontation. It reflects the league's ongoing problem with players who don't fit the mold. Caitlin Clark has faced it for 2 seasons with constant hard fouls and media narratives downplaying her impact. And now Sophie, who has always been polarizing, is caught in the same situation. Rather than embracing her popularity, the WNBA seems determined to tear her down. Sophie is one of the league's most popular players, whether the executives like it or not. She trends regularly, her highlights generate clicks, and even when she's not on the floor, fans care about her, and that should matter in a league desperate for growth. Instead of capitalizing on it, the WNBA allowed a playoff celebration to turn into a moment where Sophie was publicly embarrassed by a security guard. The fan response was immediate and brutal. Within minutes, hashtags like #FreeSophie and #WNBAExposed were trending. Supporters blasted the league for selective enforcement and accused officials of silencing players who don't fall in line. Many compared it to past controversies, like when fans were unfairly labeled racist for booing Angel Reese, or when Caitlin Clark's hard fouls were dismissed as part of the game. The comments weren't kind, and honestly, they didn't need to be. People called the guard everything from a power-hungry mall cop to the WNBA's latest clown show. While harsh, it showed just how fed up fans are. They want to celebrate basketball and enjoy victories, not watch league officials create unnecessary drama. And that's the larger issue. The WNBA keeps talking about growth, ratings, and being taken seriously, but moments like this make it difficult to believe they truly mean it. Every time the WNBA gets a spotlight moment, it somehow finds a way to sabotage itself, and that's exactly what happened here. Instead of letting the Fever's playoff win shine, the narrative shifted to Sophie Cunningham being shouted at by a security guard in a leg brace, a move that wasn't just bad optics but outright self-sabotage. Fans don't tune in to see their favorite players treated like criminals for cheering, nor do they want to watch double standards dressed up as fairness, and yet that's what the league continues to deliver. This wasn't a brawl, a fight, or a chaotic moment. It was pure playoff joy, and the WNBA turned it into controversy. The fallout only intensified when clips surfaced showing Caitlin Clark and Chloe BB cheering right beside Sophie at midcourt, both smiling and clapping, yet neither was confronted. That made it clear this wasn't about rules. It was about sending a message. Sophie isn't a media darling like Paige Buchers, nor is she a league-approved star like Angel Reese. She's outspoken, fiery, and unapologetically honest, and that has made her both polarizing and wildly popular. But instead of embracing her as the draw she is, the WNBA seems intent on diminishing her. She's rarely featured in promos, consistently painted as the villain, and disproportionately criticized compared to others. Fans aren't blind to the hypocrisy. Angel Reese or Natasha Cloud would have been praised as passionate in the same moment, but Sophie gets labeled entitled and out of control. That double standard turned into outrage, with hashtags like #FreeSophie and #WNBAExposed flooding social media, fans blasting Commissioner Kathy Engelbert for running what many now call the most embarrassing league in sports, and some even calling for her resignation. The irony is that Sophie handled the moment with composure, standing her ground without overreacting, and her fan base only grew stronger, rallying around her with even more support. This isn't an isolated issue, it's part of a pattern the league refuses to address. Caitlin Clark has endured 2 seasons of hard fouls without proper protection. Lexi Hull's playoff heroics barely received coverage, and now Sophie was shouted at for celebrating. The reality is that the WNBA's growth is driven by a handful of players: Clark, Reese, Buchers, and yes, Cunningham. But instead of supporting them equally, the league picks favorites and punishes others. That short-sighted approach alienates casual fans, who already question whether the WNBA takes itself seriously, and each controversy pushes them closer to tuning out. The Fever's playoff run should have been about Lexi Hull's clutch plays, Aaliyah Boston's dominance, and the team's resilience without Clark. But instead fans are talking about a mall cop moment that made the league look petty and unprofessional. Sophie's only crime was cheering for her team, yet she was treated like a threat, and fans aren't letting it go. Every clip, every meme, and every angry comment only adds to the fire. At the end of the day, Sophie Cunningham was wronged, the WNBA embarrassed itself again, and the outrage continues to grow. So, was this about enforcing rules, or was Sophie deliberately targeted? Fans already know the answer. What about you?